Good evening, folks. We're going to start our new unit tonight, and today we'll be talking about the different motivational theories that we covered in class today. So motivation in general refers to a need or desire that energizes behavior and directs it towards a goal. So motivation implies not only that it gives you some sort of energy to do it, but that you actually do it, that it directs it towards some sort of goal. So it directs you to do something. For example, this dude, Aaron Ralston, found the motivation to cut off his own arm when trapped on a cliff in Utah in 2003, and we'll watch a little bit of his story in class. So what motivated this dude to mutilate himself in order to survive? It's an interesting scenario to look at. So what motivated? Hunger, was it? The drive to survive? Well, we can look at it from a bunch of different angles, and that's why we have these theories, so that we can look at people's motivation from different perspectives. So the first theory that I talked about was instinct theory. So is it just instincts that direct our behavior? Some people think so. An instinct is just a fixed, meaning rigid and predictable pattern of behavior that's not acquired by learning and is likely to be rooted in genes in the body. So it's hardwired in our behavior. It's like it's a program that just runs itself without our knowing that it's doing so. So here's human nesting behavior and bird nesting behavior. Is that instinctual? Is it all that we do just satisfying these basic instincts that we have? Perhaps. That's one way of looking at it. So with instincts, we take an evolutionary perspective. Other species have genetically programmed instincts motivating their actions. So do we, is the question? We are animals, aren't we? So human babies show certain reflexes, but in general, our behavior is less prescribed by genetics than other animals. There's what's called epigenetics, meaning we can learn things, and that changes our genetic code over time. We may, however, have general patterns of behavior which can be explained as emerging through natural selection. So genetics do play a part. Biology does play a part. But it's not the whole picture, I don't think. So instinct theory has given way to evolutionary theory in explaining human behavior. So in the view of evolutionary biologists, everything that we do is to fulfill this biological imperative that I mentioned in class, meaning all organisms have as their primary motive the desire to procreate and to thus carry on the genes. This is one perspective. You may or may not agree with it. So then this instinct theory kind of developed into a little bit more sophisticated theory called drive reduction theory. And shortly, a drive is an aroused/tense state related to a physical need such as hunger or thirst. And again, when I say aroused or arousal, I don't just mean sexual arousal, I just mean alertness, readiness. You're kind of ready to go. So this drive reduction theory refers to the idea that humans are motivated to reduce these drives, such as eating to reduce the feeling of hunger. This restores homeostasis, which is a steady internal state. So we have these natural drives in us that lead us to sort of regulate our body's different processes. So we have a need for food and water. That creates this drive to fulfill that need. Mainly hunger and thirst is the drive. Hunger is a drive. Thirst is a drive. So then we engage in drive-reducing behaviors, namely eating and drinking. So we can kind of apply this model to other behaviors that we take in the world, and that's drive reduction theory. The next theory has to do with incentives that we talked about. But let's look at drives a little bit more. So drives kind of push us to do something. They're like inside us and like compelling us to do it. They're based on inner needs. It can be seen as a force pushing us from inside. And incentives are kind of outside of us, pulling us towards something. They're external stimuli that either appeal to our needs or trigger our aversive feelings, which kind of will make us do something like this, and can be used to pull us in our actions. So drives kind of push us from the inside, incentives pull us from the outside. For example, we have a drive to have food or money we can exchange for food. Employers can use the prospect of a raise in or elimination of salary as an incentive for us to follow employer goals and policies. So the drive to have food or money we can exchange for food is this kind of drive that compels us to do things. The prospect of a raise or pay cut kind of pulls us from the outside. So there's this push-pull theory of drives and incentives. So that's all we're going to look at today, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow we're going to look more at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs that kind of takes all of these into account. All right, have a wonderful evening.